Good evening, America. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the latest edition of Just the News, No Noise. You know who I am. I'm John Solomon, your host. Joining you as always from the nation's capital. Amanda's going to join us in a second. We promised you the start of this week we would get you some unprecedented new information about the weaponization in Washington, the decade-long weaponization, protecting Democrats, subjecting Republicans to false investigations. The first two nights we exposed what the leaking looked like, how the media was complicit. The Democratic whistleblower who said he saw personally Adam Schiff instruct staff to leak classified information to dirty up Donald Trump on a false Russia collusion claim. Last night we told you how James Comey, the FBI director, used an emissary to leak information, select information, possibly classified information to the news media, again, to dirty up Donald Trump, because at the end of the day, what James Comey wanted was a special prosecutor. What did Adam Schiff want? Well, he told his staff, I wanted criminal charges against Donald Trump. That's what we laid out the first two nights. Tonight, we're going to show you the other side of this conspiracy, the protection racket. We've all known for a long time that James Comey exonerated Hillary Clinton without authority to do so and without finishing his investigation when it came to the classified emails. Tonight, we're going to tell you about the other Clinton investigation, one that was running in 3 separate FBI offices, New York, Washington, and Little Rock. It was a predicated criminal investigation that was examining whether Hillary Clinton ran a pay-to-play scheme that delivered favors from her perch as Secretary of State, while foreigners and others paid large sums of money to her family foundation, the Clinton Foundation, run by Bill Clinton and their daughter, eventually Chelsea Clinton. 3 separate agencies, 3 separate bureaus, offices of the FBI believe they had predicated evidence to pursue that. Every time they tried to move the ball down the road in the shadows of the 2016 election, they got shut down. I mean, they got shut down at the highest levels of their agency. Andrew McCabe, the deputy director, a man who potentially had a conflict of interest with Hillary Clinton. His wife got money from Hillary Clinton's former campaign chair to run for a Virginia state Senate. And by the way, McCabe attended the meeting where that assistance was solicited. He eventually was conflicted out, but not before he gave the order to his agents that you won't investigate or do anything on this unless I approve it. Downstream from them, 4 different U.S. attorneys' offices under Barack Obama were asked for help by the agents. Agents need help. We need a grand jury. We need to get evidence. We want to move the case down the road. All 3 of those 4 offices told the agents, you're on your own. We will not assist you in your pursuit of criminal charges against Hillary Clinton. And then perhaps the most extraordinary statement in the document that we are going to show you on screen now, they can put it up as you're looking here. The Deputy Attorney General for Barack Obama, Sally Yates, explicitly told the FBI, shut it down, meaning the corruption probes of Hillary Clinton. Think about this. While Donald Trump was out on the campaign trail chanting, lock her up, maybe there was a good reason to lock up Hillary Clinton, he would argue every night, the Obama Justice Department was telling the FBI agents who also thought there might be a reason to lock up Hillary Clinton, shut it down. Remember those words. We have a lot more up for you. In a second, we're going to bring in Senator Ron Johnson, someone who's been instrumental in exposing so much of this incredible, dirty scheme in Washington. But one last piece of note before I bring in Amanda. We have now confirmed tonight there are some prosecutors who have come forward and are willing to cooperate with Attorney General Pam Bondi and, of course, FBI Director Kash Patel, who found this document. He found this document based on some whistleblowers that Just the News had. He went and got it. He has other emails that he's going to be turning over to Congress that I think will further this narrative. This is the beginning, but we've told you this was a double-headed scandal. The first part was pursuing false allegations against Republicans. The second was forming a protection racket around Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Biden family and others, Joe Biden himself, when it came to classified documents. Right, let me bring in my amazing co-host, Amanda Head. We'll have more up on this Just the News about 8:30 tonight. You'll get to read the document for the first time and see our reporting. Amanda, I don't think any of this surprises us, except the fact that someone committed it in excruciating detail to paper.
Yeah, you know, the unfortunate thing is that, John, folks like you and Devin Nunes and a lot of others out there, we're screaming from the rooftops about all of this, and you only had one side of the American people who were willing to listen or to give credence to it. So I'll be very interested to see what the media's reaction to this is. Obviously, they were part of the machine. All it took was a word from Adam Schiff, along with the discount, by the way, that we talked about last night. All it took was a word from him for them to grab that baton and absolutely run with it. So they are culpable in all of this, but the American people deserve answers. And I certainly hope that, I would like to see some polling done on this a month or two from now, when this has finally settled with the American people and maybe has broken through on the legacy media side of things. I will be very interested to see if they do end up finally covering this. And if they do, maybe we'll see something similar to the day and night difference on Joe Biden coverage. I mean, it was practically day to night. It's like someone flipped a switch between supporting Joe Biden, covering for, his mental limitations, his mental acuity issues, and then all of a sudden he's out of the race and everybody turns on him. I'll be interested to see if there is even a hint of this when it comes to this. The unfortunate thing is that it's not just one person, Joe Biden. It involves a whole lot of people who have built a whole lot of alliances with a whole lot of people in the media. So time will tell.
Something amazing, Amanda. The last time someone uttered consequential words like shut it down, it was Richard Nixon trying to get the CIA, to get the FBI to stop investigating the Watergate break-in. We saw what that did to our country's nation. Will Americans be as outraged today as they were then? We'll have to find out when the truth gets out. But tonight, that starts. And you said we want a lot of answers. We're lucky tonight, Amanda, to start with someone who has given us probably more answers than anyone I could think of when it came to the Biden, Clinton, and Obama era scandals. He's the chairman of the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. He's a great senator from the state of Wisconsin and a good friend of the show, Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, good to have you back on.
Well, John, hello, Amanda. To answer your question, Amanda, the mainstream media, the legacy media, they won't cover this. They'll ignore it. They're complicit in it. I mean, take a look at Adam Schiff. He was censored in the House. I doubt that was barely covered in California. Now he's been outed here from a standpoint of leaking classified information. He falsified his mortgage papers. I doubt any of this is going to be covered in California, and proof positive of that is after he's censored in the House, he got elected to the Senate from California. Yeah. So again, I wouldn't hold my breath in terms of people being held accountable by the legacy, the corporate media. Now, again, I appreciate all the work that you and John, John's just been, bulldogging this. It's a lot of his contacts, his whistleblowers are making this possible. I think that's the other point to be made, is we need whistleblowers. We don't know what documents exist. Now, I sure wish these whistleblowers would come forward when the statute of limitations has not run out. I think it's one of the reasons they probably are coming forward now. Nobody really can be held accountable legally. So about the only accountability here is exposure. It's extremely important. It is the first step in accountability. But, for somebody like myself, I'm sure for John, for you guys, this is just horribly frustrating. We've been demanding documents. My guess is Kash Patel. He's probably demanded documents. But until a whistleblower comes forward and tells them specifically, here's where you'll find it, the people inside the deep state, they're not going to come up with this. And just think about it. These documents lay dormant throughout the entire first Trump administration. This is when people like Senator Grassley and I were asking for records. We're demanding records. We never got them. We're barely getting them now, and only because of whistleblowers. So again, the deep state, it is deep. It is populated by partisans. They are not Republicans. They are not conservatives. They do not support Donald Trump. So, I mean, we're getting this information, we're clawing it out of them. They're giving up, kicking and screaming.
You've done a lot to get them screaming and kicking, and you've done a lot to get them finally to give up us things, and all the things you've looked at. I want to just focus on the extraordinary moment of the spring and summer of 2016 now, because we now have a more complete picture than we've ever had. The FBI is ramping up an investigation on false, trumped-up allegations of Russia collusion against Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, while the same Justice Department is ramping down, pressuring its agents not to look at the possibility that the former Secretary of State and Democratic nominee was engaged in pay-to-play. The contrast couldn't be more stunning, but that's what's going on. Your thoughts on how we go about fixing that dynamic, that two people get treated entirely different in the same window?
Well, we need to stop funding the deep state. We need to root out the partisan actors. But exactly right. So the FBI, Department of Justice, they're shutting down 2 Clinton scandals. Now, I'm quite sure these investigations were predicated on Peter Schweizer's book, Clinton Cash.
They were.
I mean, it was out there. I mean, you could see the corruption. Selling our uranium rights to Russia. Raking in, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars in the Clinton Foundation. It just on its face seemed horribly corrupt. Peter Schweizer laid it all out there, so you get people investigating, and then you got Sally Yates shut it down, as you say, while they are ramping up the completely false, the Russian hoax, knowing that it was a false Russian hoax from the Hillary Clinton campaign. Yep. While they're also shutting down the James Comey exoneration memo, the FBI, the same cast characters who push Crossfire Hurricane, changing things like gross negligence into extremely carelessness, so it wouldn't meet the legal standard of a crime. So no, I mean, it is thoroughly corrupt. Those of us who've investigated this have known it for a long time, so it's good to get confirmation of that. I'm sorry it's too late to probably rely on real criminal investigations, which is why I hope that Pam Bondi ramps us up to a conspiracy where we can get a venue like Florida where at a minimum we hold a trial, because I can't think of a better venue day by day, week by week, where we lay out the timeline of the grotesque corruption of these partisans within the Department of Justice, within the FBI, all on the side of the Democrats, all in opposition, sabotaging Trump's first administration. And if they can, they'll do it to a second administration.
Yeah, good point.
The grand jury better pack their bags and get comfortable. Going through 10 years of conspiracy is going to take a little bit of a while. Sir, I want to ask you, though, bigger picture, if a powerful agency like the FBI is willing and able to quash what some people might have at the time considered a trivial investigation into Hillary Clinton for emails and servers, I got to say, this makes me ask questions about bigger fish and bigger conspiracies and bigger crimes from years before that. Does it make you concerned?
Just on our recess here, I'm reading the book Blowback about the Oklahoma City bombing, which I'm texting excerpts from John Solomon of his participation in uncovering some of the truth of that. I'm not done with the book yet. I don't have any conclusions other than this isn't just history rhyming. This is history repeating itself. So whether you're talking about the JFK assassination, RFK, Martin Luther King, what happened to Oklahoma City, just all the way down. What you see is these federal agencies possibly complicit, possibly know about these things, covering up the fact that they might have had pre-knowledge about some of this stuff. It's all the exact same playbook. It's been going on for decades. They have been lying to the American public, bald-faced for decades on a host of different issues. So, again, I'm just a position. I don't think you can trust the federal government on anything.
One thing I think we can trust is the great work that you do as an investigator. You have one of the most powerful committees in the Senate. It can go anywhere to find the fixes that Americans need. We now know that Bill Clinton met with Loretta Lynch right in the middle of this dynamic. And I think a lot of people thought, well, maybe they were trying to fix the email case, but of course they've always denied that. But they've never been asked the question, were you talking about the Clinton Foundation corruption cases with all the powers that your committee has? Is there any temptation to subpoena a Bill Clinton, a Hillary Clinton, a Loretta Lynch, Andy McCabe, and bring them before your committee and get an honest accounting from them?
No, I'm tempted multiple times a day to subpoena somebody or bring somebody in. The problem, John, this. Yep. You need documents.
Yeah.
And unless you have the documents, unless you have the whistleblowers telling you the documents exist,
yep,
you can call somebody in, they'll just lie to your face. I mean, that's what's happening right now on the House side. James Comer, I appreciate what he's doing. He's calling these people in. They either plead the fifth or they just say, I don't recall that. You need hard documents. You need hard evidence, and they can't know what you have before you start interviewing them. So again, these investigations are extremely difficult. It's hard to prove crimes in a courtroom. It's even more difficult when you're in Congress. You've got a very limited budget. You don't have we can subpoena people. We have very limited ability to actually enforce those subpoenas. The administration and people who work in the deep state know that as well. So it's a tough slog. We need investigative journalists like yourself, and we all need whistleblowers. They're more inclined to come to journalists because they feel more protected, like their identities are going to remain anonymous and sometimes coming before Congress. So again, I just applaud all the work you've done in so many cases. The work you did with Fauci all the way back. It's interesting as I'm reading this history, which when I was in plastics, I wasn't paying attention. So as I read this history, how many times your name pops up in terms of being a key investigator in all these cases. So you've been at this a long time. You know what you're doing. You've got your contacts. And that's really what's busting these cases open.
Well, thank you, sir, for saying so. But you deserve a lot of credit, too. We wouldn't have known half the things in Russia, collusion, or Ukraine without your determination. And so the record will show you were a senator that did your oversight work really well. Good to have you on today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Sammy. Keep up the good work.
I will, sir. Thank you so much. Wow, what a great interview. What a great investigator in Congress. All right, after the break, more of the Russiagate investigation and the big federal takeover of Washington, D.C. I got to tell you, people are walking around here today smiling because they know it's going to get safer here. Congressman Troy Downing of Montana is going to weigh in on that right after these messages. Hey folks, in today's world of misinformation and political spin, it's more important than ever to support organizations that put truth and values first. That's why I support and belong to AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. They're the conservative alternative to AARP, and they're working to preserve faith, family, and freedom, three things that matter to all of us. AMAC members get valuable benefits, discounts on healthcare, travel, and health insurance, exclusive online resources, and a subscription to AMAC's beautiful magazine, one of the best reads out there for an informed patriot like you and I. And all of this is available for as little as $1.20 a month with a 5-year membership. That's what I have, a 5-year membership. Join me. Join the movement today. Visit amac.us/justnews and help AMAC protect America's future.